think family is the most important thing to me, definitely. And then that all comes into sports. So family, definitely honesty, loyalty, all those things are what I really value. I think it's really important, as a student athlete and just as a person, a daughter, a friend in general, just to have those values because, there's a lot of people that are going to support you. And then, just being loyal, being honest, like it's just going to take you a long way. People are going to trust you more. People are going to want to help you out more. People are going to want to see you do great. And so those are why, and that's why those are some of my most important values. Of course, I value, friends. I value people, that are passionate about what they do. Not even just sports, just in life. Because when you're passionate, like you're going to work hard, you're going to do your best. And I think that's really important. I'm 5'7", right? So when you're, what they consider short playing basketball, right? Like as a guard, you're gonna face people that are gonna be much taller than you. I faced girls that were 6'7", right? So people have always told me like, hey, Mya, like you're too small. Like I don't know if you can play at the Division I level. Like I'm not quite sure if you're gonna, be able to use your height and use your skill at that level. It's just because it's so much harder. And for me, I think a lot of people are not always going to be on your side, but when you have a group of people that actually support you and, keep you confident, that's going to be something that's really important. So for me, I'm like, man, like, am I too short? Like, am I this? Am I that? But once, you find that security within yourself to understand that, you've worked for this, like you've worked hard enough, like you've done everything that you need to do, like your height doesn't matter. I think that's what really pushed me to the other side because yes, I am considered one of the shorter people, but I also play harder than a lot of people. So that's what really is going to get you to the next level. And then, just people that see that you might be on a different path than them, or you might be, better than them and they don't want to accept that. I think it's just important that you don't always listen to all the negativity. Just try to think of positive things that, that you are feeding yourself, that some family members, friends, whatever, just people that are in your corner that actually support you and want to see you succeed. Like what I've kind of had to learn is that, not everyone is always going to like you per se. Not everyone's always going to support you. And so I think knowing who you are and being secure in who you are personally is very, very important, especially like once you guys get to college. Some of you are not even in high school yet, but even in high school, you see that too. So just make sure that you're always confident in yourself. It definitely is hard coming into college. So when I came in, I was 18, right? There's people on my team that were 23. Like, man, okay, I'm playing with grown women. Like, yes, I'm considered an adult, but they're like grown women, 6 years older than me, 5 years older than me, whatever. And so for me, it was my coaching staff, my parents, trainers, friends that just, kind of instilled in me like, Mya, like you're ready for this moment. Like constantly feeding me, good vibes, good thoughts. And I had to learn the hard way with that too, because, I wasn't always as confident in myself as I, should have been. And that, caused me to not be the best leader that I could be, because I'm like, they're not going to listen to me because they're older. Well, when you lead by example, they're going to respect you. So I had to first start to lead by example and then use my voice. So to gain that confidence, I just tried my hardest every single day. And then my teammates eventually backed me. And I think that that's what really made my confidence grow. I think it's a little bit of both. So every girl in high school, right, they're not really that serious about basketball at that point. So, it's kind of hard to find the people that actually want to play as compared to people that are just playing because their friends play. So in high school, it was more leadership, like, yes, by example, but also a little bit more vocally. And, I wasn't always the most vocal because I'm like, I'm not sure how they're going to handle it if it's not what they want to do. Like, should I be too hard on them? Should I not? So I was questioning myself a lot in high school. But when I came into college, everyone's here for the same reason. Like, you don't come Division I if you aren't really serious about it, or Division II, any college basketball, you don't go unless you're really serious, right? So when I came here, I had to learn to be even more vocal, sometimes even more passionate about how I lead. Because again, grown women, they're not going to take you seriously unless you prove to them that you're serious. And so it's evolved for me because now I'm much more vocal, and not in a negative way, but more so as just encouraging, pushing my teammates, holding them more accountable. And trust me, I need to still grow. I still need to learn. I'm learning and growing every day, but I have seen myself grow over from even last year to this year, just how I speak to them, how we interact. And some days are better than others. I'm not perfect, but I'm just still trying to learn and work every day to be the best leader possible. So yeah, so when you get to college, right? I mean, you prepare, you train, you do all that stuff, but when you actually get to your first workout or your first practice, it is a lot more fast paced than what you even could imagine. So for me, I was in great shape. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just a different type of shape that you have to be in. So that was a little bit unexpected. I'm not saying that like I struggled a lot, but the first couple weeks, like I had to come in and do like extra conditioning, extra running, whatever it may be, just because that pace is so much faster. Everyone that you're playing with is faster, stronger. And I had prepared for that. But the first couple weeks, it's like, man, like it really is a lot faster. And people were actually, not kidding when they said that you have to come in like in the best shape of your life. But once, like after the first week or so, like you get used to it, and then it goes on from there. So I would say that that would be the biggest thing for me. Let's see, in high school. So it wasn't until was it junior or senior year. So I worked out before school. So about an hour and a half before school. And then I had practice. So that's about 2 hours. And then I may or may not stay after that to work out for an extra hour or two. So I would say on average a day, 4.5, 5 hours. So you don't have to kill yourself, but I think it is important to get in the gym times that are that are outside of practice for sure. But it's also important to have rest days. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Because I have been told a lot like Maya, like you're doing too much. So you don't want to wear yourself out. You don't. You want to work hard, but give yourself time to, rest, relax, have fun. Like don't forget that. I'll just give you some of the stuff that I do. This may or may not work for you. But so like if you want to work on ball handling per se, what I do personally is I either do one or two balls depending on how accelerated you want to be. If you want to challenge yourself more, I mean just some simple stuff. Like I don't do anything crazy. Just two ball pounds, alternate. You do two ball crossovers between the legs, behind the back, all with two balls, just to work on like that movement. And then the better you get, the quicker you can go. So that's what I do for ball handling. And then you do the same exact thing but moving. So you do the same thing, alternate, cross between moving. And then, I think if you were trying to work on like layups, finishes, there's a bunch of different drills for that too. Micans are great for layups. Like we do that every day in practice, and this is college. It may seem really simple, it may seem boring, but it really helps you focus on finishing around the basket. So I would say Micans, reverse Micans. We even do two ball Micans. So you have two balls and you just go like back and forth, just stuff like that. And then, some drills for like jump shots, just see how many shots from each spot you can make and a time limit, like that may, you know, require you to have to push yourself more. That's what we do a lot too, is shooting drills, but on time limits. Like you have to make this number in this time. If you don't make it, you either do it over or you run. So, just any type of drills like that, just to kind of push your limits. But if you have any more questions on that, I mean, you can message me on Instagram, like anything separately. But those are some of the most basic ones that I could give you right now. Where I go, we have an academic advisor. So what that means is he's in charge of the whole women's basketball team. So he helps us schedule our classes, tutoring sessions, study hall hours, outside meetings that we may need just to discuss academics. And so for us, we practice in the morning. So we have a time slot from 7 to noon. Okay, so we don't have any classes before that time period. So then our first class would be say 12:30, right? So normally you have 2 to 3 classes a day, and in between those classes, you might have a study hall, depending on if you want to or not. So they don't make that mandatory here. But if you need a study hall just to catch up on some work, whatever you need to do, that's fine. And also we have tutoring, so you can, request a tutor. So for me this year, I have two tutors because, sometimes classes do get rough and, you might not have that much time in a day. So we have tutors that we can virtually meet with, and they also help us with our academics. And, it is hard because it's hard to find time to, practice. Then you have to eat, right? And then you have to go to class. Then you have to do study hall. Then you have to do your homework. So I think first semester of college, I struggled with that. Like time management is the biggest thing. So what I would recommend is if you're playing basketball and going to school at the same time is to have like a planner. You write down everything you're doing that week. So I do that every week. So every Sunday I write down my whole week. So then I can know when I have class, when I have practice, and when I have time to just do stuff for myself. That's my best advice. I'm studying sports management with a minor in psychology. So I ultimately want to be a basketball coach, a college basketball coach. I'm not quite sure that I could really do high school because I've experienced some of the parents and stuff. It's a little tough. And then with the psychology field, I'm really interested in how people think, how people interact with one another. And, I think that's going to really help me if I and when I do become a coach one day, just being able to tap into my student athletes' minds and like know, where to push them, where they may need help, how they, focus mentally, all of that. So that's what I'm studying. I think I knew I wanted to be a basketball coach by like middle school. I think before that, I was doing some crazy stuff like a botanist, like a plant scientist, and like a doctor, a lawyer, like just the normal stuff that people, normally like, yeah, like I want to make money. But after, I think around like seventh or eighth grade, I was like, yeah, I want to be a coach because I love basketball and I just want to stay around it as long as possible. Actually, no. I've never had anything that drastic to cause me to quit basketball. I started playing basketball in the third grade and have been playing ever since. So for me, there have been some times where I'm like, is this really what I want to do? But I've never actually full on quit. Sometimes you have that doubt that creeps in. Normally, it's only there for a little bit, and then you and your support group help pull you out of it. So yeah, no, I've never ever quit basketball before. I don't think I've ever had to talk them out of quitting, but I've had teammates in high school that, have wanted to quit and, they didn't want to tell me because they figured that I would be upset with them. But what I tried to explain to them was that if this is not what you want to do, I'm not going to be upset with you for, following a different path. So I've never had to talk them out of quitting. Either they just came back because they're like, okay, like we want to play with you, or they did end up quitting and it was fine. Like people think that you should or shouldn't quit because of what someone else would think, because of what if someone else is going to say. But this is ultimately about you. So, no, I've never had to talk anyone out of quitting. If that's what they wanted to do, I supported them and just went from there.
Trying to think if I have either. Like, I've definitely had those conversations with friends, and now being a coach, especially at the high school level, have had to have those conversations. And the toughest thing for me that I find with high school girls is people, it sounds bad, but like quitting on themselves because they don't think they're good enough. I had a girl at the high school I was at in tryouts. She just didn't come to the next tryout because she self-assessed and said, you know what, I don't think I'm going to make it, so I'm not even going to come to the rest of the tryouts. But she was literally the top person on my list. And so I caution all you girls going into high school, don't doubt yourself, because I feel like a lot of girls have maybe more of that self-doubt than guys. Like you get a guys tryout and every dude in the gym thinks they're the best one there, and there's somebody who's terrible and they really think they're going to make the team. Whereas on the girl side, you have girls who just are like, oh, I don't think I'm going to make it, so I'm not even going to show up, when actually you were one of the best players in the gym. So just show up and do your best and let the chips fall as they may. And please tell your friends the same thing, because it's devastating to not even give yourself the chance.
Right. And I definitely think that is important. I mean, yes, if you want to quit, for a reason other than just like you don't think you're good enough. Like I've had people want to quit because they want to focus more on a different sport because they might excel more in that sport, different stuff like that. But yeah, well, definitely what Claire said, like, don't ever doubt yourself. And sometimes even for me, it might creep in, but you just got to get it right out of your head. Like that's not me thinking clearly, you know, like, and just keep a positive mind. I have had a lot of bad games. Trust me, I have. And you know, a lot of people say, "No, like this game wasn't that bad," but what I consider a bad game might be different from what others consider a bad game. You know, like I have different standards for myself, but in my opinion, I've had a good amount. And you know, that doesn't mean that I'm, you know, not a good player. But what I do to make sure that the next one's better is I just watch the film. As much as I don't want to watch it, I watch it because I know that I can learn from it. Might be rough to watch, to be honest with you guys. Like sometimes like I have shed some tears just because it's like, you know, like this is rough. But once you watch that and you learn from your mistakes, and then you see the same thing in the next game, you're like, oh, like I just watched this or I just learned, and then you know you improve. And that's what's really important, like seeing yourself play and watching the mistakes and even watching the things that you do great. Definitely helps you. So I would say just watch the film. As much as you might not want to see yourself mess up, like it really does help. Yes, yes, I do. If you, I mean, I have a sweatshirt on right now. Yeah, I definitely do want to play. And I know it's not gonna be easy to get there. I've I've learned that you know there's only 144 spots in the whole WNBA out of however many women there are in the whole entire world. So I know it's not gonna be easy, but the privilege that we have here at Seton Hall is that our coaches, he speaks to WNBA coaches weekly. Last year, a few of them came to our practices and they watch our games and stuff like that. So I definitely do want to go. And not just because, you know, I think it would be cool, but, you know, I'm really passionate about the game and I've worked really hard and I'm going to continue to work hard.
Would you consider other professional leagues as well, like if that didn't
Yeah,
happen or if it was only a
for
short
sure.
period of time?
Yeah, I mean, WNBA overseas, like anything like that, like playing professionally has been a dream of mine since I can remember. WNBA, yes, would be great to play in the States, you know, for my family and friends. But if overseas is, you know, the next option, I will gladly go overseas. That question a lot, and what I always say is that you know I don't really prefer to play for any team. I mean, if whoever like whatever team possibly would draft me, I would be grateful. But if I had to pick, I would say the Seattle Storm, just because Brianna Stewart, like she's a baller. I think it'd be really fun to play with her and like Jewel Lloyd. By the time I get there, I don't know if Sue Bird would be retired yet, but we'll see. So I would definitely say them. I've been a huge fan of Diana Taurasi for as long as I can remember. And not for the reason people make things just because like she's considered the GOAT or, you know, the greatest of all, whatever you may say, but it's just her passion and how hard she plays and how she leads her team. And, you know, they may not always win every single game or be the best team in the WNBA, but when you watch Diana Taurasi, you feel like you know she's going to give it her all. And I really like that. Like even from like watching tape of her from UConn, like you could just tell she was different. She's special. Like she just has that kind of what we call like swag about herself. You know, she just knows that she's the best player and she's gonna prove it to you. And I really like that about her. So definitely resilience. I do because there is a lot of times for me that so like for example when I first started playing I wasn't the best, you know, I was on like the lowest team. People were telling me like, you know, I don't think you're gonna be that good, like you're not very coordinated right now, like all this different type of stuff. And you know, there was moments I'm like, you know, is basketball really what I want to do? Because you know it is hard, but I loved it, so I got a trainer, two trainers, used my dad, and you know we just worked harder and harder, and just being resilient and not giving up when it's hard. Not, you know, sometimes even if you want to quit, don't, because that's how you get better. And I think for me, like that's been huge. Like for example, like if I would have quit before I went to high school or in high school, like there would be no way, obviously, that I would be like where I am and learn the, you know, like leadership, teamwork, like how to be passionate, like how to, you know, work through all these different types of adversity, you know, so just being resilient in general. I mean, not even just in basketball, but in life. Like, you're going to face challenges, you're going to fail, but it's how you come back, I think, is what really makes character and contributes to growth. And so I would say resilience is definitely number one for me. I was averaging 25.6 for points.
And what record do you hold? You hold something, right?
Yeah. So it's most points scored in a game, first girls 2,000 point scorer, most points for a girls basketball player, and then most points in the county. So
So not bad.
yeah, not bad, but
that's awesome. Love it. Well, you ladies were lucky to have, record holder, gonna be, I'm sure, another record holder in college.
I don't know about lucky. I think I was lucky to be here.
Nah, this is awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see if we can get some follows, and I'll definitely be checking out your podcast. And
keep your comments coming on the podcast.
Yes,
I appreciate you for having me on here.
Hey, no worries. All right, have a great night.
You guys too.
Thanks.
Good luck to you girls.